You're watching the Liverpool Sport Guide. My name's Matt Jones, and I'm joined by the former Cruiserweight World Champion, Johnny Nelson, who you'll all know off Sky Sports Boxing. And we're looking ahead to a massive fight night, which is coming on the 4th of March at the O2 Arena. Haye v Bellew. How much are you looking forward to this one?
First of all, hello, Matt. You know what? Liverpool is just different. I didn't even know where I was, but it's beautiful. There's some gorgeous buildings here. Haye v Bellew is something that is going to be outstanding for the public, because we just filmed The Gloves Are Off. The Gloves Are Off. There's little spits that's coming out at the moment on YouTube, and various people are getting it. It kicked off a little bit. We had to separate the two fighters because it got a little bit too heated. And the general public know, if they see things like this, these are for real. You know, you can always tell when it's not. This is for real. Tony's an emotional kind of guy, and so he'll talk emotion. You know, and that's, to me, is his key to victory in this fight. I think if he fights emotionally to get David involved in fighting him emotionally, then it takes David out of his pace, out of his control, out of his comfort zone. That's what he's got to do. And so what he's doing at the moment is it's like David's a dog on a chain, and he's poking it and ragging it and trying to wind it up. Tony's used to finding calm throughout chaos. So he's used to upping the tempo and dropping it down a little bit. He's got to get David into it. So far, so good. It's worked for him. It's worked at every press conference. Every time they sit down together, David gets angry, David bites, and he gets mad at himself for biting. The same thing will happen again as we get closer to the fight. So I think this fight, for as long as it lasts, is going to be such a bubble. It's going to be such a night. And I like both guys. I really do. Tony, I'm so, when he won the world title, I would do with a lump in my throat. I'm thinking, if somebody deserves it, it's you. And he's put the work in. And I think this is a calculated gamble by Tony, because the David Haye we've seen at the moment, he's been flat-footed. He looks a bit heavy. Doesn't look impressive. You looked at him and thought, he looks all right. The David Haye back in the day, 6-7 years ago, this guy was on point. You thought, oh my God, don't get in with him. Tony's now seen this David Haye, this version of him, and he thinks David can't pull back the old days. He thinks he's shot. Now, a few of us may not realise that until after this fight, because this is David's biggest test to say since Vladimir Klitschko. You've got to look at it. Biggest physical, active test for David to get in the ring with. So David's got to be on point. Now, if he can't turn back time when it comes to March the 4th, then Tony's gamble's paid off, and he's got it spot on right. And he's seen something before we all saw it, that David is shot. He's past his best. That's if it's a gamble. That's if he's right. So that's why it's so intriguing, this fight.
The last time that we saw either of them kind of come face-to-face was at the press conference, but before then, there was the occasion when Bellew beat Flores at the Echo Arena here in Liverpool, and then it all kind of kicked off after that. And I think this is a fight that the whole of Britain is waiting for, because it's a big British contest between two big British fighters.
Of course. And Tony, even before he won the world title, said he was going to shout at David Haye. So he's always fancied fighting David Haye. So if people think this is just an opportunity for Tony to make money, it isn't. Trust me. Tony's always fancied fighting David Haye. And he said before he boxed the world title, he said, I'm going to shout at David. I said, really? And we were driving through Liverpool when we were having the conversation. And so this is for real. They've sparred together. He knows him. He watches him. He's a brilliant student of the game. He will tell you about opponents, fighters, who they fought, when they fought, what round ABC happened. He knows so much about the game, more than me, more than David. So his assessment of David, he might have seen something we haven't. So I think for this fight, when it comes off, it's going to be such an occasion, such a buzz. Eyes on the prize. The general public are really into this because it's captured the public imagination. When you see The Gloves Are Off with these two on, you'll think, I cannot wait for this. Because as I said, little snippets are coming out at the moment, and the public are thinking, we want to see this. I think it's out February the 26th or 27th. But watch it. It's juicy.
Haye is obviously previously won his world title at heavyweight. For Bellew, it's cruiserweight. He's stepping up to heavyweight now. Is that an issue for him? Is it a worry at all?
David is actually a cruiserweight that fights heavyweight, so he doesn't have to worry about his weight. He can put the weight on and feel comfortable. I think these two guys will get in the ring about the same size, about the same weight. I think Tony used to box as a heavyweight in the amateurs. Tony had to boil down to get to light heavyweight. Tony walks around as a heavyweight. So this isn't actually as big an issue for Tony as what people think. You look at the frame of Tony, his frame is actually built more for a heavyweight's frame than David's is. So the weight is not going to be an issue. That isn't an issue at all. And the general public will see that when these guys get on the scale. Yes, David Haye will look in supreme condition. He'll look brilliant. But Tony's always looked fleshy. It doesn't mean a guy's not fit. It doesn't mean he can't fight. You look at Joe Calzaghe, unbeaten. always looked fleshy, never looked on point. David, he's one of those genetically gifted guys where you think, wow, his body looks amazing. It doesn't mean Jack Diddley once you get him the chin.
Can you call it?
It's not going to go the distance. If Tony's right and David Haye can't turn back time, Tony wins by knockout. If Tony's wrong and David Haye has managed to turn back time and he manages to just for one night pull the old David Haye into the ring for the March 4th, David Haye wins by knockout. So it's like I'm sitting on the fence, and I just think Tony must have seen something we haven't. Tony's training really hard out in Rotherham with Dave Caldwell. David's been out in Miami. He's only just come back to the UK to finish off preparations for his fight. David is playing the game by Snapchatting pictures of him on a yacht and drinking his protein drinks out of a champagne glass. He's playing the game to give the impression that he's not training hard. He's training hard. Both fighters are training hard. So regardless, the winners are the fans. That's what it is. The winners are the fans because we're going to see a great spectacle.
It certainly will. So March the 4th for that one. And that brings us nicely on to you if we talk about Tony Bellew, film star himself. You're about to appear in one yourself as well.
Only a small sketch. There's a film called Fist Fight with Charlie Day and Ice Cube, and it's Fist Fight about two teachers. And it's to be released out in America, I think, today. And it's released in the UK on March the 3rd. So they flew me out there just to do something with these two guys, a gloves are off scene, to help promote the show. So you'll slowly but surely, after it's been released in America, you'll start seeing snippets of it around the UK to try and push it. I think Ice Cube's coming over to the UK on the night before the Haye Bellew fight for the premiere. And it was good. These guys, they talk about Haye and Bellew. They talk the fight game. It was funny, but they're actors, so it's not real. They pretend to be fighters. So, but it was a nice experience in Hollywood, but it's just not real. Just remember, it's not real.
And if you haven't had your boxing fill by then, and even after Bellew Haye, March the 10th here in Liverpool, you've got a brilliant event coming up with Floyd Mayweather, and we don't see him in England very often, so this is going to be brilliant.
No, not at all. And I think he came over to the UK once to do a tour. I did a tour with him again. Then he's coming over again. I think his tour starts on March the 2nd. When he's in Liverpool on the 10th, please turn up, please rock up. Because the stuff you hear about him, is nothing when you actually see him, when you speak to him, and he'll tell you stuff about how hard life used to be. He'll tell you about wealth, his wealth. And I know to us in England, it's a bit distasteful when somebody talks about their wealth and what they got. But realistically, he's just telling you what his life is. But it's never always been like that. He lived in a house where it was like there was no money. There were 7 sleeping in a room. So he'll tell you how hard life was. And he'll tell you about his drive and his ambition and people that have helped him along the way. It's really interesting, really intriguing. And when he comes here, he's actually a really nice guy. And what you see on the TV, it's a character, it's a gimmick. He makes you either love or hate him. And that's why he's probably the richest sportsman in the world at the moment.
Incredible fighter, all that talk as well recently about possibly the link up as well.
That's almost a done deal. And when we're in Liverpool, I'll put him on the spot on that. And so you guys might have an exclusive when he's out here in Liverpool. And please come down. Please get yourself down because I'll ask him all the questions that the public want. And if you guys out there want me to ask him a question, send it in and I'll somehow get it across to him. But I will ask him about the Conor McGregor fight. And
that's not the only event you've got coming up as well. Another big boxing name being brought over.
Yes, in October, Bernard Hopkins is coming over as well. He's never been over to the UK. I spoke to him a few times, and Bernard's, he doesn't believe that there's a fan base for him. He said, "Do you think the people will know me there?" I said, "Bernard, listen, they will." And I've got to convince him to let him understand that. So on the 22nd, his tour starts on the 22nd of October. Hopefully, he'll do a night here in Liverpool. A very intriguing guy, a good talker, an amazing life, and he's a fighter through and through. And so to actually for the first time, his first tour in the UK, I think get there. If you can get there when he comes to Liverpool, can get there when he goes anywhere else around the country, come and see him. Such a nice, down-to-earth guy. Again, very intriguing.
Another huge name in boxing, and Liverpool really is a place where boxing is massive at the moment. So March the 4th for the big one, Bellew v Haye. Johnny, thank you very much for your time.